North Central Netball time here on the Flow Friday Sports Show. Kylie Walsh joins me to wrap up the grand finals across the association. A massive weekend and a massive segment to get through with Kylie Walsh. Welcome back to the airwaves. Kylie, how are you?
Good, thank you. Alice, it's hard to believe the season's just come to the end like that. Felt like the first round one I was talking to you not long ago.
Well, you pin down a player or a coach and they'll tell you that it's a weight off their shoulders, but what about for the president? More like an astronomical weight, not just a commitment over the course of a season, but so much work that you don't have to worry about for the next, however long it is, 6 to 8 months, Kylie.
Oh, we've got a couple of meetings come up, so no rest for the wicked, but it's been nice being around everyone, so it's quite enjoyable.
Good stuff. All right, well, let's look first at the Junior 14 Bs last weekend and the grand final there, which was fought out between Birchip, Watcham and St Arnaud, and it was the side that finished the regular season in first place that won no worries by 20 goals in the end, 29-9, the final score there. Well done to Birchip Watcham. They are the kings of the 14Bs.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, it was an early start for the teams that finished 1 and 2, Birchip Watcham and St Arnaud. And yeah, Birchip Watcham came out really strong from the beginning. They showcased their dominance and they actually disrupted a couple of St Arnaud's early centre passes. So their defensive pressure was relentless and they ended up a 5-goal lead in the first quarter. And then St Arnaud came and applied some pressure around the second quarter and they limited Birchip Watcham's freedom of the ball movement and scoring opportunities. But despite these efforts, Birchip Watcham just maintained their composure and they just controlled the game throughout and held their lead. And then the third quarter, there was actually a more balanced contest between St Arnaud and Birchip Watcham, and that sort of slowed down the deficit. And they managed to restrict Birchip Watcham's scoring and that big gap. But St Arnaud, as much as they tried, they just couldn't exploit the rhythm of Birchip Watcham and Birchip Watcham's teamwork down the court. They just were able to extend that lead to that 20-goal victory with a 29-9 over St Arnaud. And the best on court for the 14 under B was Gemina Tynan from Birchip Watcham. She had a great game in goals.
Moving to the Junior 14 A's, similar story there with Donald taking it out after being the best side over the home and away season. They did it over Birchip Watcham, 34-26, the final score there. The first place side in control throughout the entire game in this one.
Yeah. However, Birchip Watcham really started strong in this game, Alice, and they disrupted a few of Donald's centre passes, but then once Donald settled into the game, their defensive pressure began to shine and they managed to restrict Birchip Watcham scoring opportunities and capitalise on those mistakes made by their opponent. And Birchip Watcham were only able to score 2 goals compared to 12 of Donald's at half-time. So they had exceptional defensive play and efficient in their attacking, and that just brought out a commanding lead. But then during the break, Birchip Watcham took an opportunity to regroup and make some strategic adjustments. And by after that break, they were renewed energy and a bit more confidence, and that's improved their performance. And they narrowed the gap a little bit by the second half, but Donald just maintained that strong position and continued to apply pressure. And despite Birchip Watcham working tirelessly to reduce that margin, the gap was too large to overcome, and Donald were rewarded the premiers, 34-26 victory over the Bulls, and Miller Adams from Donald was best on court, and she had a great game in goals as well, and that was part of Donald's victory.
Moving to the 17s and the champions there, Ngunnawal. After a big season, they did it against the first place side over the minor rounds, Birchip Watcham. So a bit of a surprising result and a great win in the end for Ngunnawal. 31-24 it ended in the 17s.
Yeah, and look, this game, the excitement, it drew a capacity crowd. I think we had maxed out in the stadium, and that just highlighted the level of skill and the talent of this age group, and particularly between Ngunnawal and Birchip Watcham, it was always promised to be an exciting game. And from the outset, it was a really tight contest, and both teams displayed an exceptional defensive and offensive skills. And, the intensity was fantastic and neither could gain any significant advantage. And by half-time, the scores really reflected the nature of the game with only a single goal separating the two teams. But then, as we know, the third quarter, which is often referred to as the championship quarter, Nullarbor just took advantage of a crucial period and they outscored Birchip Watcham 8-3. And that really showcased Nullawar's ability to seize those opportunities and create a little decisive gap. But Birchip Watcham regrouped and were able to match Nullawar's play in that final quarter, demonstrating a variety of skills. But the gap was too large and they just couldn't claw it back. And the Bulls were sort of overcome with the pressure of Nullarbor and Victor's 31-24, and the best on court was Lily Scott from Nullarbor.
Well done to Nullarbor. Unfortunately, in the Senior C reserves, it was not the same story, and in fact, quite the opposite story with Nullarbor there finishing first. But Sea Lake Nandali, the Tigers, they have just kept us on our toes, and they've really worn their heart on their sleeves throughout the course of the season, haven't they? The second place side, emerging as the champions in the Senior C reserves with a final score of 53-35 over Nullarbor. They would have been partying hard in Sea Lake.
Oh, I would say so, especially with their seniors winning as well. But the Tigers set that tone early in the game, and they were leveraging their height advantage in the circle to establish that early lead. And they had effective play down the court, and that secured an 8-goal advantage in that first quarter. But the Tigers' dominance was clear from the outset. They continued to apply pressure throughout the opening period. Nullarbor worked diligently in the second quarter to try and disrupt the flow, and they focused on slowing the passes through the mid-court to try and stop it down the attacking end. But their efforts were just couldn't slow down the Tigers' momentum, and Tigers just kept hammering down those goals and continued to dictate the pace of the game. But, their ability to control and capitalise on all opportunities, they just extended out that lead. And despite Nullawar's several attempts to slow them down, the final quarter, Tigers were just far too strong from the previous quarters, and it all paid off. Despite Nullawar's persistent efforts, the gap was far too large, with that 18-goal victory. And the best on court was Isabel Shepherd from Sea Lake Nandali Tigers.
Nullarbor crowned C-grade champions deservedly after their strong season. Final score 42-35 over board. The two best placed sides fighting it out for the grand final win and honours in the big dance. In the end, it fell Nullawar's way, 42-35. How did this one play out?
Yeah, well, there's certainly no back-to-back donuts for Port C-grade this year. But they came out strong and they established themselves early and they took control of the game. But and it really looked like Sport were in the driving seat. They set up a comfortable lead and really looked poised for a decisive victory. But as we know, Ellis, the finals are very unpredictable, and this game was no exception. Although Bort maintained the lead, Nullawar's calm and methodical approach allowed them to stay in the contest, and they made some really critical adjustments, particularly in their defensive end, and that really paid off. And in that third quarter, as we've said, it's that critical turning point. Port's lead narrowed to just one goal, and that set us up for a really fantastic final quarter. And that heightened score, the close scoreline, really heightened the anticipation with the crowd. And in that final quarter, Nullarbor capitalised on a few errors made by Bort in the circle, and that proved with their defensive pressure, it was just a clinical finish by Nullarbor, and they built a 7-goal lead in the end with that 42-35 victory. And the best on court was Nullawar's Verity Rafter. She made a massive impact on the game in that second half. So well done to Verity.
In the Senior B grade, the grand final we got there was the collector's item grand final across the day. Real thrilling finish. It ended up being 44-39 between the Wedderburn Redbacks and Birchip Watcham, but the Redbacks too good. And, well, what a season they had in the end after they finished first. Kylie, how did this one pan out?
Well, this was another eagerly awaited game. It packed the stadium again with supporters from both sides really setting up for a thrilling contest. And from the first whistle, it was like both teams had high level of skill and determination. both the Redbacks and Bulls fought hard for control, but neither could establish a substantial lead. Wedderburn only managed a narrow margin at each break by less than 5 goals, and the close scoreline just kept the spectators on the edge of their seats for the first half. And then as the game moved into that championship quarter, the intensity was amazing, and the Bulls determined to gain that edge. They just found another gear and exploited a few errors made by Wedderburn. And then Wedderburn just employed the rolling subs just hugely. There was people running off and on the court. It was it was funny to watch, but they tried their hardest to disrupt the Bulls' momentum, and the Bulls continued to press hard. And that final quarter was just electric. The crowd was yelling, and at varying points there was only a single goal separating the two teams. The stadium was charged with excitement. And then Wedderburn just had their ability to see any small errors made by the Bulls, which proved critical. In that final minute, Wedderburn just pulled away slightly and, won 44-39 over Birchip Watson. But it was an amazing game to watch. And Olivia Lockhart from Wedderburn was best on court. But congratulations to both teams.
Absolutely. Finishing up with the senior A grade, and Charlton going into this game as the outsiders, and they got relatively close, but not close enough. Wedderburn Redbacks, the deserved champions, winning this 55-41. A great season all in all for the Wedderburn Redbacks A grade side.
Oh, absolutely. And they just proved why they were so dominant all season. But fair play to Charlton. Their progress to the grand final was remarkable. They'd been 8th place at round 6, so to even make it to the grand final is an achievement in itself. But like the other game, the game really started with great high tempo, and they showed their intensity again. Wedderburn seemed to settle quickly, into the grand final, and they showcased their experience of being composed, and they took advantage of every opportunity and capitalised on whatever was available from them, and they just displayed their dominance, exploiting any errors that Charlton made. And Charlton really tried to find their rhythm and make some tactical adjustments throughout the quarter, but they just struggled to counteract Wedderburn's play. And then the Redbacks there maintained control and expanded their lead, just as we said, showing their strength throughout the season. But Charlton regrouped in that final quarter, and they connected well and won that quarter in the final moments. But the deficit that Wedderburn built up in the earlier three quarters was just too significant to overcome. And despite that last surge by the Navies, the gap was too large by Wedderburn with the 55-41 victory, and we had Holly Lockhart from Wedderburn best on court.
Kylie Walsh, cannot thank you enough for all your efforts across the season. I'm not sure it's goodbye yet, but you've been incredible throughout the year, and you've shown such stamina to report so comprehensively on all teams across your association. We thank you so much for collaborating with us right here on Fly FM.
Thank you, Alice. Thanks for an entertaining year. I've always looked forward to our weekly chat-up, so I hopefully all your listeners have enjoyed our sessions. So thank you.